Welcome back to the Capital Health Plan Weight Loss Clinic videos. Again, I'm Dr. Amy Neal. These videos are intended only for education purposes and are not for reproduction or sale. So today we're going to discuss nutrition, how to choose the right plan for you. We'll go over what macros are as well as micros. We'll discuss some lunch ideas as well, and we're going to discuss the timing of food and what fasting means. Hydration is also an important topic that we'll review and then go on to our quiz. Okay, so for long-term weight loss success, evidence suggests a few things in the nutrition pillar. First is food logging. It is not fun or glamorous, but it is a very important part of managing your weight. And also doing portion control. So when you're doing your food log, trying to measure out and estimate as best you can what the contents of that meal are. We want to measure what you want to manage. Whole foods, we want to eat things as close to their natural state as possible. This is suggested by many different diet plans, and there's ample opportunity to use whole foods in any nutrition plan that you may choose over time. Meal replacements also help with weight loss. This does not necessarily mean a protein powder or a chemical type shake. It can also be a handful of almonds or some low sugar yogurt. It just means replacing a full meal with a smaller unit of food, usually something that contains a lot of protein. In nutrition, as well as with some other pillars, it helps to have assistance from wherever you can get it. A nutritionist, a dietitian can be helpful, as well as books. Technology can be very helpful, YouTube videos, behavioral change. It's a good idea to ask your doctor if they know of a nutrition plan that would be better for you in particular. The major themes in any successful weight loss program are that they all include reducing processed foods and usually include eating more vegetables. Why do we have to food log? It is not fun. It is time consuming to some degree. It's certainly a nuisance when you're first getting used to it. But we find that participants, there was a study of 1,700 patients who kept a daily food journal, and the records show they lost twice as much weight as those people who were not keeping a food journal. They were supposed to be on exactly the same nutrition plan. There's a lot of different ways to track. MyFitnessPal is a great website that I use commonly. It's got an app that's free. You can pay a little extra if you don't want the ads. MyPlate is a governmental site that also has an app that's pretty easy to use. It has a huge database. Fitbit and Garmin also have their own sites and tracking devices. Noom, as well as Weight Watchers. There's a lot of different programs out there. The main thing is it just needs to be easy. It's also a learning experience because you're learning when you eat. Sometimes you're learning what you eat, why you eat. Who you're eating with, that changes things a little bit. If you're eating, with a bunch of friends and it's a celebration, that's going to be a different calorie content than, if you're eating at home and it's just you eating. And where matters quite a bit as well. When you're picking a program, like let's say we're going to choose a modified keto diet or the Mayo Clinic diet, that's basically what that is. What you want to do is kind of a try-on phase where you're looking at recipes, you're trying to make, 2 to 3 of your meals of the day, kind of in that fashion or style, and see how that feels. Make sure that whatever it is doable, that it's maintainable. You might also consider what has worked for you in the past as far as weight loss. I know a lot of my patients have done very well on a keto type diet, so trying to really modify the carbohydrates. We'll get into what that means on the next couple of slides. So, if that has worked for you in the past, it would be a good place to start here going forward. As long as that was something that was easy, budget friendly, your family was able to deal with eating these same patterns. So the Mediterranean diet has been studied quite a bit in the last 20, 30 years. This is the diet that is predominant around Greece, Italy, North Africa, the Mediterranean zone, and it's because we started studying blue zones, or this is where the people who live there most of their life tend to live into their 10th decade, right? So they're centurions, they're people who live to be in their hundreds. And why is that? And that's where we started seeing the evidence that the Mediterranean diet in particular is good for cardiovascular health. It includes whole grains, vegetables, legumes, fruits, seeds, nuts. As we go up the Mediterranean diet pyramid, we're seeing very little in terms of processed food, sugar, fats. They do consume a lot of olives and olive oils, so good fats are still there. They eat, most of their protein comes from fish, seafood, a little bit of dairy and poultry. They eat very little red meat, and sweets are eaten only occasionally. And by occasionally, I mean once a month, not, every other day. The best data for heart health and longevity and cognitive function is with the Mediterranean diet. The strongest argument for the Mediterranean diet comes from the Nurses' Health Study that followed more than 10,000 women ages 57 to 61 and observed them until they passed away. The health and aging, and they were looking for healthy aging. So that was defined as women who are 70 or more, having no chronic health conditions, diabetes, lung disease, kidney disease, Parkinson's, or cancer, or other major declines in their mental health, cognitive function, and physical function. Okay, so that's how they defined healthy aging. And the study found that women who followed a Mediterranean diet had a 46% increased chance of making it to that healthy living category compared to women who didn't. So I get asked a lot of times, Dr. Neal, what is the healthiest diet? And I tell people, if you're up for it, it is a vegan, plant-based diet that also is going to minimize processed food like sugars, white flour, rice, and ultra-processed foods. But you're going to eliminate almost all animal sources of fats. There's a version of this called the Ellesinian diet, Esselstyn diet, and it basically also avoids some of the saturated fats like avocado and coconut oil. But again, the difficulty level is very high. But you can see this top graph here is a photo. This is just one individual, but you can see on the left there's a picture that's a coronary artery, and this is a before picture, and then after they've been on the diet, you can see the coronary artery disease is completely reversed. I mean, that's a very good looking heart artery. So it has powerful health effects, but again, the difficulty level is somewhat high, and almost every person who's going to go on this type of nutrition plan is going to have very significant weight loss. Part of that is also because it's changing the bacteria in your intestines. So this last one is a good compromise between Mediterranean, some of the vegan dishes. I feel like it's pretty doable for most of my patients, is a modified keto diet. This has a lot of different labels. For example, the Mayo Clinic diet is basically this. Zone diet is pretty similar to this. Jenny Craig, a lot of Weight Watchers, basically ends up being a version of keto. For it to be considered a keto diet, we're going to eat 33% of our total daily calories. Only 33% are going to come from carbohydrates. As you can see on the graph up here on the right, this is several different versions of what keto means, the Atkins all the way down to more of like a modified keto diet. It does allow for vegetables and nuts. You can kind of mix and match what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis. So let's say some meals you want to keep almost no carbohydrate to have less of the impact of those carbohydrates on your hormones. The modified keto diet, you can also make a Mediterranean diet. Again, the Mediterranean diet usually does not include that much meat, but if you're careful about your legumes and nuts, sometimes you can mix the two in a way to actually make 33% of those calories or less come from carbohydrates and it still be Mediterranean. So you can make a keto diet Mediterranean, but it's very hard to make a keto diet vegan. So I would say that's one that's just not compatible with trying to make a keto diet. Okay, so let's talk about the three main ingredients in any nutrition plan. Those are proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. In general, for, again, most American diets and most of my patients I'm talking to on a daily basis, we're trying to increase protein, we're trying to keep fats roughly the same, but maybe improve the quality of those fats, okay? So we're trying to make them come from seeds and nuts instead of from a hamburger. We're trying to decrease carbohydrates. Almost everybody I talk to initially before they really start doing their nutrition assessment and when they're first doing their food logging, they realize I am eating a lot of carbohydrates. We're trying to really dial those down. These all make up what we call our total caloric intake, okay? So what is a calorie? It's the amount of energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water 1 degree Celsius. What they do is they take their sample of the food, they burn it up completely, and then they see how much that raised the temperature of the water. Okay? Now, this is not how your body works. Your body does not completely consume all of the food that you eat. So if you're eating whole foods, you're eating a handful of almonds instead of a handful of crackers, even if they're the same calories, your body is not going to absorb all of the calories from the almonds, but it'll absorb pretty close to all of the calories from the crackers, and it'll do that in a faster way, which is not good for your metabolism. Part of the reason your body doesn't digest whole foods the same is because of the fiber content in that food, as well as just the mixture of proteins and carbohydrates. But the fiber makes a big difference. Fiber fills us up, it makes us feel full. It also helps to feed the good bacteria that live in your intestine that further go to promote weight loss. Okay, so now we get to change gears for just a minute and give you some good lunch ideas. In general, ordering a salad is a good option from most places. You want to be a little careful about the dressing. In general, asking for dressing, croutons, cheese, or any sort of major fatty component like bacon on the side, if you can do that, will make a big difference. That way you can add in as much as you need. You can take the salad and dip it into the dressing rather than dumping all the dressing on there, because you may find that you don't really need all of that dressing. Grilled chicken and veggies is a good go-to. Those come in frozen versions that are easy to keep in the freezer and just heat up for, especially my people out there who are cooking for one. That's a great option. My son made this picture here. This is a veggie and chicken quesadilla that he made. Nuts are a good option. Turkey rolls, cottage cheese if you're trying for a light lunch. Black bean burgers are a good way to get in some protein, especially if you're trying to go with a vegetarian or vegan option. Vegetable soup is a wonderful go-to. It's pretty low in calories, and it keeps you full, but it has a lot of good nutrients. There's the art of leftovers, what I call the art of leftovers. A lot of times these make very good lunches. You can see I've taken some time to go ahead and bake ahead bunch of vegetables, and that makes a good base for pretty much any meal. You can add any protein to that. Also what I call the art of the leftovers, which is taking a little time throughout the week to maybe do some food prep and get a bunch of things cooked and, chopped up, ready into smaller to-go boxes, ready to just have a protein added to it to bring to your lunch. You can also, if you're looking for like a meal replacement, so like you're really not that hungry at lunch, or you're just the kind of person who doesn't have a lot of time, then you can do a protein bar, a shake, you can do cheese sticks, you can do hummus, and pita is a really good high protein option. You have to be a little careful of the type of pita bread you're looking for. There's some that's made with chickpea flour, and that's very good. You could also do like just chicken sticks, little chicken strips or something along those lines. Okay, fasting. This has to do with how many hours in the day you are not eating food. You can drink water or unsweetened beverages and still be considered fasting. Since it's kind of vaguely defined, studies on this have had varied results. Patients like it because it's simple and saves money. The most common pattern is shown on the top right of your screen, where the person skips breakfast and then eats till 7:30, 8 p.m. at night. Doing longer fasting periods than you're used to now may result in eating less calories, but the main thing it does for your body is reduce the hormones that your body uses to ingest and store food. When exposed to too much of these hormones over time, we can develop inflammation and insulin resistance, which commonly leads to diabetes. Fasting reduces inflammatory levels, causes moderate weight loss, as well as typical calorie restriction, so they're equal, and it increases insulin sensitivity, thus reducing type 2 diabetes tendencies. If you are already on medicines that might cause hypoglycemia or low blood sugar, like glipizide or insulin, it's important to discuss this with your physician before you try to do any fasting, because they may need to delay or reduce the dosing of those medicines. This is a link to Jason Fung's YouTube videos if you would like to learn more about this fascinating topic. Hydration is also key for weight loss. Studies have shown that 1.5 liters per day would burn an extra 17,400 calories a year, which is a weight loss of about 5 pounds. It is better if the water is cool or colder, because that way your body will have to increase caloric burn to maintain your core body temperature. Water is needed to help you burn fat. It increases metabolism. It improves mood. Studies have shown it also decreases appetite for some people. It helps remove toxins, and it also helps to decrease soreness after exercise. Supplements. I get a lot of questions about this from my patients as well. In general, supplements are a huge waste of money. They do not cause weight loss. They tend to cause a lot of side effects and problems. I've even seen some of my patients end up in the ER from taking these supplements. There are a few that may lead to weight loss. The data is still out on these topics. The only one that really has been proven, the only supplement that's over the counter that helps weight loss, is actually fiber or psyllium husk. Same thing as Metamucil. And it also decreases colon cancer rates. Weight loss might be seen with certain types of probiotic. I think the take home is really that those foods that have probiotics in it, so yogurt, kimchi, or foods that have been fermented, just are very good for your intestinal flora and may affect your bacteria that live inside of your intestines in a very positive way. One concern with some supplements is that they may actually increase your cancer risk. There have been some studies that have shown that too much B12 or even folate can affect cancer rates. Vitamin E as well. There are some supplements that I recommend for my patients that are kind of disease specific. So if people have a lot of trouble with sleep, we know that sleep is really important for weight loss. I may have them do 5 to 10 milligrams of melatonin right at bedtime, as long as that doesn't make them sluggish in the morning. For knee arthritis, I do tend to recommend Cosamin DS or glucosamine supplements, as those tend to help with knee pain and can increase the amount of steps and walking that my patients are able to do. It can also, for recovery and building muscle, there is a supplement called creatine that actually does decrease muscle soreness and helps to build muscle faster, as well as branched chain amino acids. That's the BRCAs. Those are found in chicken and turkey. But we don't want you doing any kind of major amounts of supplements about 24 hours before you're doing routine labs, because it can affect some kidney function labs. It won't actually affect your kidney function, but it can make the lab appear falsely elevated. So be very careful about taking any, especially protein supplements, 24 hours before your blood work. These are the references I used to make this PowerPoint presentation. And here's our quiz. Number 1, can you name at least 2 diet plans with proven long-term weight loss benefits? Some answers would be Mediterranean diet, modified keto, or vegan. Number 2, true or false? Drinking more water, up to 1 liter or more a day, can lead to increased weight loss. That would be true. Again, it was that 1.5 liters that we were talking about in the lecture, and it does seem to slowly decrease weight in a sort of a subtle way. Number 3, true or false? Most weight loss supplements do not work in the long run. It's kind of a double negative, but it's true. Most supplements aren't really going to help you with any kind of meaningful, persistent weight loss. We're going to name a food that is not allowed in high quantities on the Mediterranean diet. So that would be processed meat, red meat, sugar is a big one. Number 5, what are the 3 macros? Proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. All right, how much carbohydrate intake can you have and still be considered on a keto diet? So again, that was about 33%, 30 to 33%. Thank you for watching the nutrition part of the Capital Health Plan Weight Loss Clinic videos. Please check out the next video in the series on medications and surgical treatments, as well as some good dinner ideas. Bye for now.